Hello, hello, hello. All right, so today in this video, I'm going to be talking about why it seems like things got harder after seeking God, after praying, after talking to the Lord. And I hear this quite often. It used to happen to me a lot. Let me just be very transparent. I used to be scared to pray. And to this day, I'm still a little bit more cautious when praying about certain things, because it would seem as if after I prayed, after I sought the Lord, after I sought his counsel and his wisdom in a situation, that situation, and not just that situation, multiple other unrelated, don't do that, multiple other unrelated situations would also just start going in places they weren't supposed to be going into. It just seemed like things got worse, and I was like, why is he I'm like, this has to be related, but this ain't the God I heard them talking about. They said he was gonna give you all your needs and stuff was gonna be good, you just talk to him. So what is this? I'm like, did I make the wrong connection? Who am I talking to? Because this ain't giving what it's supposed to have given according to the word, according to what the people been talking about. And it took me a while to, one, get over that, and then two, come to the realization of what's going on. So when you are praying, you are ultimately asking God to shift something in your life. When you've already created your own foundation, or had a foundation created for you about whatever your beliefs are, whatever you want to do, whatever you've decided your future to be. But if you're asking God to create a shift, when you shift a foundation, things get a little bit worse before they get a little bit better. Things get a little bit worse before they get a little better. Anybody who's ever had braces, anybody who's ever tried to do anything where they're moving something that's kind of been set in a certain way for a while, you might have just wanted to fix one little, maybe like a little gap. Well, all the mother teeth finna start moving too, because in order to get what needs to happen here, you gotta get everything else moving. Side note, I'm not a part of the Gap community. My sister is a Gapper. I'm not a Gapper, but she talks highly of the community. So I will say I'm not perpetrating a once Gap haver. But I got love for y'all. But yeah, so making that shift is very difficult at times, and you'd be like, okay, but this didn't have nothing to do with that though. I could see if maybe if this was related, and then okay, I can understand, but sometimes stuff will start happening that has nothing to do with it. And the thing is, we have our limited knowledge. Not only do we have limited earthly knowledge, we have limited time knowledge. We only know up to the time that we have to our access. And that means whatever you've experienced, or maybe what you've heard through experience of others. And not only that, we only have limited earthly time as well as space knowledge. You a lot of times only know what you've been exposed to. And that is where you get your perception of reality, and what is and what isn't, and what needs to be. So to compare your knowledge to God's vast, unlimited knowledge, and then be mad at him for what he doing and how he doing it, is crazy. But I do understand, because again, I've been there. I very much understand the need to have some understanding. Like, you don't want to just be taken on this whirlwind roller coaster and not knowing what's going on. It feels like you're blind to the situation, getting blindsided with all these bad things, and you're like, why is this happening? Like, you're supposed to love me. Help me. help me out. Help me understand. And it's so difficult, because what that really comes down to is faith. And I know it's like, what? No. In the boat, when there's a story where the disciples and Jesus were on a boat. They were just crossing over like some body of water to get to the other side. Well, as they're crossing over this body of water, a storm comes through, and the storm is violent. The waves are crashing, and it gets to the point where they're like, yo, we about to, like, it's gonna take, the boys out. And so they start, of course, panicking, because they're like, what is going on? And not only that, they're in a boat with Jesus. So they're like, wait, where he at? Because he been working on these miracles. He gotta do something. And they look over and they're like, hold on, Ricky, is homeboy sleeping? So they get him, they shaking him up like, hello, don't you see what's happening right now? Don't you see that we not gonna make, like, what? Like, they're just so upset and confused, I can imagine, because we got you on the boat and you out here letting all this happen, and you could probably stop this. To their knowledge at that time, they're like, this man can probably, stop this. And not only is he not preventing it, but at the very least, he's not even up, being by our side with it. He's not even standing with us and comforting us or, saying nothing. He's silent. He's asleep, actually. So they're like, what's going on? Long story short, Jesus gets up and he's like, bro, y'all boys is really stressing. Because y'all just don't, like, y'all lacking the faith, basically. And so he just tells it, all right, waves, chill out. Ocean, be quiet. And it clears up and it stops. And so they're like, I know this, mother. Like, I know that you didn't just let us experience all of this anxiety and stress and pain and confusion, thinking that we was about to, like, be at the end of our days, and you could have stopped it before it even started. Why would you let us go through that? Why would you allow us to experience this? And you supposed to be our homeboy. We with you every day and night. Like, they physically with him. We pray to him, with our busy lives, but they're physically with him every day, catering to the ministry, helping, like, the word be. They're like, I'm sure there was some confusion stirring up. And there was a scripture that I read last night. In fact, I think I posted it on the wall. Let me see. Hold on. Yes, look here. Voodoo. Okay. It says, and this is Jeremiah 31:35. It is the Lord who provides the sun to light the day and the moon. Oh, wait. I read that wrong. Let me start over. It is the Lord who provides the sun to light the day, and the moon and stars to light the night, and who stirs the sea into roaring waves. His name is the Lord of heaven's armies. That is Jeremiah 31:35. That last part, the minute I read it, I immediately thought back to that story. And who stirs the sea into roaring waves. It is the Lord who stirs the sea into roaring waves. So in that moment, Jesus was so relaxed, because he knows any force that's moving nature like this, anything that's causing these great shifts, is nothing but God. And he trusts his Father to care for him. He trusts his Father because he knows he has a purpose, a plan, and a mission in wherever he's been placed. And that the Lord has already set it up for him to be where he's supposed to be. And he already told him it ain't your time yet. You got stuff to do. So he know if he on that boat, it ain't going down. Because the Lord did already told him the situation. He's got such a close communication. Mind you, Jesus wasn't just down here who just bing, and just knew everything God wanted. He spent tons of time in prayer and fasting, like immense amount of times. So he already had that close connection with God. And he knows from whom all power flows, and that is the Lord. So he's like, okay, if I know who stirs the waves is getting stirred. I'm not stressed about it. I'm not pressed about it. Some stuff gotta happen for some stuff to happen. And so now the boys on the boat is like confused. Jesus like, why y'all confused? Y'all got no faith. I already told y'all. And it can be hard to grapple with that. It can be very difficult to grapple with that. And the thing is, when you pray for something, don't take it as a punishment, or that you've done something wrong, or that the Lord is actually against you, or that, don't take it as a negative if you see things start to shift. Now, in the case with the boys in the boat too, sometimes, and this is another thing, I was going to make a different video about it, but sometimes the test that the situation that you're going through isn't really even a test. It's somebody else's testimony. Like, you'll be a witness to someone else for their trials that they go through. And I feel like a lot of the stories in the Bible, and Jesus said it at one of the points, like, even when he was praying, he was like, I'm not praying because, I'm not praying like out loud about this because I know that God will only hear me this way. I'm doing it so that y'all can see it, so that y'all can be witness to this, and then you guys can carry it on, and like, you will know better in the future. A lot of the stories that we see in the Bible, you're like, why would he do that? Why would he do that? If something happened to you, why would he do that? Sometimes the stuff that you go through is one for your betterment, because what those boys got on that boat is they got an increase in their faith. So that way, when he did depart, they could say, we seen him wrestle a bear, a wave, a river, an ocean, a man like, we've seen him do it all. If they had not been in that experience with him and gone through it would not have been a real experience for them. If he had just told them, yeah, I could stop the waves, it's like, okay, yeah, he said he could, do that. But if they really been in the field with him and he did that, then when they go and they spread the good news, you can't convince them boys otherwise. They will speak with such conviction because they've seen it. Even if their faith starts to wane because of his absence, they will remember that. No, I didn't see him pull us through. Like, I haven't seen him come through for us in ways other people could not even understand or believe to be real. And so it makes their testimony that much more powerful, because not just because it's a powerful story, but because of the way that they're able to convey the story without wavering. Like, there's no doubt in it. They know it for a fact, for a first-hand account. And anybody else that they encounter who might be wavering in faith, because their faith is so strong, they can then minister to those people to help them remain faithful. It all works to a benefit. It works to a benefit. So when you see things shift in your life and you're like, dang, why did this go wrong? Why? A lot of times it's shifting the things that need to be shifted. And I was talking to God about this the other day, and one like weird analogy came into my mind, so I'm gonna share it. If you go to a mechanic, right? Hear me out, because I don't like going to them. They always try to scam me. If you go to a mechanic, also, if there's a mechanic man of God out there, hit me up. No, I'm just kidding. No, but if you go to a mechanic and you tell them, hey, you hear some like squeaking with the wheel, and you think it's like an alignment that's out of place or something, and you're like, yeah, just give me an alignment. So you go in there with the mindset of what you expect to happen based on what you think is going on and what you think you need. So you go in there, you think, okay, I'm thinking it's going to be however much, a little bit of money, a little bit of time, and this what it's going to be. Problem is, you're not the mechanic. You're not the one doing the fixing. So when you go in there and reality sets in, that they say, and mind you, you know this to be a reputable mechanic, one of the best in town. In fact, you got generations of people that been going to this one mechanic, so he's trustworthy. Now you go to this mechanic and he come back and say, I hate to tell you, but it's actually, something much deeper in the inner workings that needs to be repaired so that it will stop causing this misalignment and then that wheel to keep shaking. He's telling you that what you're experiencing is just a symptom of a much bigger problem. So the thing you're asking him to fix is just a symptom of something else that needs to be fixed so that this problem does not come back in the future, so that you don't fall into this issue again, or an even worse situation where that thing fly off on the highway and you're really in some trouble. So you naturally how much it costs. And he hits you with the numbers because he has to do an extensive work. Now, you don't want to pay that price. You don't want to pay that price, and you don't want to wait the amount of time, because he's saying it's going to be like over a week. He got to get parts in and stuff. Things have to be shifted and moved. He got to disassemble things in order to get to that piece that's causing the problems. You're not going to like that. You're going to be in resistance to that, and you might just say, cut all that nonsense. Cut all that noise. Stop the talking. I'm not with all that talking. Give me the alignment. Give me what I asked for. Give it to me at a reasonable price. And get it done quickly so that I can move on with my life and I don't have to deal with this issue. And he tells you against his better judgment, I can't do that for you. You either got to do the real thing, because just because I'm actually an honest, genuine mechanic, I'm not going to send you off with this quick duct tape repair, because it's not going to fix your issue, and you're just going to end up wasting your money. You're going to waste your time over here coming back again and again. I'm not going to do that to you, and it might cause you more damage down the road. I don't want to see that happen. I'm not going to let you do that. Come to me when you're ready to fix it. So you like, I'm out of here. I'm done with it. Hang it up. Give me my car back. Give me my car back. Give me my car back. And you mad. You're mad. And you're like, man, this stuff don't work. He talk about nothing. It doesn't work. So you try to leave and find another way of getting things done. You try to look around. You find another little affordable mechanic. You find an affordable mechanic somewhere else, out somewhere else. And you don't know too much about him, but people said he gets a little job done. So you, in trying to find an alternative that fits what you think you need, go out, pay the low cost, what is a seemingly low cost at the onset of the journey. And this mechanic might even soothe your ears and say, yeah, that other one, he know he was talking about. You good over here? Yeah, everything is fine over here. Don't worry. I'll just do what you're asking for, and you can pay me this. You'll be out in 15 minutes. It's cool. So he does his little work. He probably know full well. Anyway, so after you've gone and sought an alternative and rejected against the better advice of the better mechanic, you then hit the road, and within a week, you are in a much worse position. Later on down the line, you have found yourself in a much worse position because what you thought was a fix actually made the situation worse. What you thought was a deal at the onset, which seemed like a good price, actually ended up being much more costly, because now you still had to go back to the original mechanic, or you can keep going back to the cheap one and keep paying for little cheap repairs that end up damaging you more and more and more. So ultimately, you have to, the whole thing breaks down. The whole thing breaks down. And then when you get your new car, you come back and say, I'm only going to the trusted mechanic because now I've learned my lesson. Some people never learn their lesson. And that's kind of what it's like when you pray and you ask the Lord to do something in your life, and then you start to see things go wrong. The Lord has to disassemble certain areas of your life in order to get to the real root of the problem. He's the ultimate fixer, the ultimate healer, and he knows exactly what's going on. He's just waiting for you to come to him and accept and stop rejecting what's going on. So when you start resisting it and being so upset and so angry, and it's okay to not like the process. It's okay to not like the process and, just have a difficult time with it. But don't turn your back and be like, well, now I'm done with all of it. I'm just going to find something else. I'm going to do it myself. I know what I need. Because you don't. You don't know. You have a limited knowledge. So after he's done disassembling everything, and it looks worse before it looks better. A disassembled car ain't cute. So he's pulled all the parts out. He's got up in there, got what he needs to fix. Maybe he needs to tear down your pride in order to give you the blessings that you're asking for, abundance or finances. Maybe he don't want to give you that with pride so heavy in your life, because then you will just go out and self-destruct and then think, dang, something happened, I can do it double, I can overdo it, and then you end up ruining yourself. You end up being a bad influence for the people, especially if you've already committed yourself to the Lord. Now people looking at you like you wasn't this, now you living like this. You threw them off their faith. So sometimes there's just things that need to be moved out of the way, things that need to be shifted, and it might come to you in the form of things not going your way, things going wrong. The thing is to have faith, and it says that so many times in the Bible. Have faith, trust in the Lord. He's there for you, he's there with you, he's there to help you, he's there to prosper you. He wants to give you abundance and blessings exceedingly abundantly above all that you can hope and imagine. He's there to guide you, to help you, to protect you at every step of the way. But if you resist him and you ask for it and then you run, and then you ask and then you run because you don't like the process, you just keep bringing yourself back to that same point even each time, and probably getting worse the further off you go, and then you keep trying to come back. It's hard. It's hard to accept the shifts as they come, and sometimes you can feel like the boys on the boat, like we not gonna make it. Sometimes it will feel like it's not, like you're just not gonna make it out of the situation, or like you won't have a positive outcome. And then you wonder, like, you hear stories where God comes to at the very last second. You're like, why would he do that? Why would he put him through the stress? Sometimes you have to break an old thing to bring in a new thing. And sometimes it's in those last few moments right before a breakthrough that the old things are broken. The old weak faith that you had is broken, and you've established a greater new level of faith, knowing that even if everything looks great or if everything looks bad, he's still going to come through. So it helps you to stop seeing with our human eyes and to have faith when a spiritual connection, knowing that he is your eyes. He sees. It says, scripture says he goes before you and he follows after you. He's already seen the places that you're going to before you've gotten to them. He's already seen that. He knows the stuff you already been through. He knows how you feel presently, and he already knows where you're going. He knows the rooms that you're entering. He knows the spaces that you will occupy. So he's not there to harm you, but rather to prepare you. And one of my favorite stories regarding that is freaking Joseph. Joseph, I'm not gonna lie, Joseph had, according to the Bible, from what I'm reading, he had a pretty decent attitude about the whole thing, because I would have been punching the walls. But he kept his faith. And there are so many stories of that, and it's really incredible. So he was, just a quick synopsis, a little shepherd boy. He had a bunch of brothers. His brothers was hating on him. He was low-key bragging like, yeah, daddy got me a new coat. He didn't get y'all no new coat, and y'all working in the field, I'm in the house. Like, he was low-key bragging. And then he was like, I had a dream. In my dream, I was y'all ruler. So and then they was like, oh, he didn't really lost his marbles. So he went out to the field one day to go find him, and they was like, get his ass. So they was like, get him. So they got him. And they put him in that hole. And then it was like, well, we can't kill him because he's our brother. Well, they was trying to. One of them was like, nah, don't do that. So they sold him to some merchants that was passing by. Next thing you know, he ended off in a foreign land that he don't know nothing about. He ended up being a slave, what we call slaves. But not like America's slave, that's different. But he went to being a slave, and having to work to build like the temple or whatever, or build their castles and stuff. He ended up getting a promotion because he knew how to he had a few skills, knowing how to do some different architecture or something like that. He ended up working in one of the what do you call it? Like one of the officials, one of their houses. And the wife, when her husband was away, she would play with the slaves. And so she was like, let me get some of that, because I see you're an upstanding man. I'm trying to get some of that. And he was like, I can't do that. I'm an upstanding man. And she was like, excuse me? She put her Karen wig on and shifted it sideways, and she started saying that he assaulted her. And so basically he ended up going to the prison, and even in the prison he was still getting promoted into leadership positions, so he was helping out in the little prison stuff, and just being that he was able to go free and be kind of like a little pseudo guard almost, he was just walking around there. And then two people had a little dream that was like, hey, we had a dream, what do it mean? And then he interpreted dreams for them. One of them, he got released, so he went back up there. He was like, hey, before you go, don't forget me when you get up there. If you see some opportunity for me, try to, hey, shout me out. Oh. And he was like, I got you, cuz. He didn't have them. So years and years and years and years and years go by. I would have been so mad. I'd have been like, dang, this is my golden opportunity. And still. So he had a pretty rough life. Basically, dude gets up there, and then the king or ruler, emperor, whatever at the time was like, he was mad. He had a dream. He couldn't interpret it, and none of his wise men could interpret it. And then he was like, somebody interpret this dream. He was really upset. He started, beheading people. Did he behead people? He was getting to that point. And so, the dude who got out of jail, he was the cupbearer, and then he was like, oh, I do know a dude. He was like, oh no, but he's trying to sling that sword. I don't know if I should say nothing, but you know, he felt convicted. He let him know, I know somebody. Boom, Joseph comes in. Joseph, like, this what your dream mean? Finna be a famine, you need to store up for the next 7 years. And then he was like, all right, that sounds right, that makes sense, I like that, what should we do? And he was like, yeah, like, just store up for the next 7 years and, you know, do this, blah, blah, blah. He said, all right, you in charge. So now he is the second in command across all of Egypt. What? So the whole time that it seemed like he was being broken down and forgotten and abandoned and just mistreated and wronged, even though he was innocent in most of those cases, all the cases except for trying to, you know, flex on his brothers. But he was young, he didn't know no better. You know, we all flex on our siblings sometimes. And so I used to flex when I had extra snacks. No, really, anyway, that's a different story. But yeah, we all flex on our siblings sometimes. And basically he was innocent. He was just trying to be faithful to God throughout the whole process. He was probably like 40. I think it was like 40 when he finally got to that position. But the thing is, in all of that hardship, he was being melded, molded, crafted into what he was about to become. God already knew the space he was about to occupy, where he was about to place him. So even in his childhood, with the dream about the brothers, he was already preparing him for dream interpretation. That was the thing that was going to get him out the hood. And so when it came to leadership, he was already going to be a leader. So he was always being promoted to positions. Even in his lower stations, he was always being promoted to positions that gave him responsibility or had him be in a leadership position or looked at as a leader. He was going to be a ruler of a foreign nation. In that whole process, he was able to learn the language of the people, the culture of the people. He was able to fully assimilate to what it was they were, while still remaining faithful to the Lord, and all the while maintaining his humility. So all the makings of a fantastic leader, he was able to get those things. And just as a little seasoning on it, okay, boom, fast forward, the famine comes, right? His brothers, right? Yeah, the ones who threw him in a ditch, who thought they were setting him up for harm. But what does the scripture say? What the enemy thinks he is set up for harm, the Lord plans for good. So what the brothers had tried to do out of envy, and that's why the Bible says, don't be trying to harm people. The vengeance is the Lord's. He gonna let it happen when it happens. He got you. Chill out. Anything you could do is not as bad as what he could do. Because what happened was the brothers came, they got hit with that famine. That famine was eating them alive to the point where they had to travel to this distant land and try to get some food. Now, they didn't know their brother was there. They sent him off for whoever, anybody. Now, I don't know. They might have knew they was going there, so they thinking he probably dead. So, I mean, can I say that on YouTube? They thinking he probably gone. And so, basically, they end up having to go over there because now the dad is sick. He's a little older. They ain't got there's a famine, you know, so they need to get some food. So they running over there, taking the little money they got, trying to get some food, because now Egypt is selling the food off to people because they stored it up because God had already told them. Well. Guess who meet them at the gate? Guess who's in charge of managing the food as it's handed out? He handing it out. He ain't no little one no more. He at the top. So he just managing it as it happens. And he's managing the managers that's managing it. But he happened to be at that place at that time, and he saw his brothers. Immediately he saw them, and his old shame came back, and he just turned around like, I hope they don't recognize me. Because even though he had become who he had been, he had a whole wife and kids. Like, he'd been in his position. He'd been that boy now. Because it's been about like 7 years was the famine of the good supply for them to store, but in like 7 years of famine. So he'd been that boy for a little minute. And even though that happened, there was still a part that needed to be dealt with, and that was his brothers. That was the people who, had done this to him, that had still had that pain caused to him. And he basically kind of turned into the little boy that he was when he was harmed by them and all the pain that was caused by them. And he just turned in shame and was like, I don't want them to see me. Not even knowing why he's scared. Like, he could have them banished right then. But he just did that to him. And so that was, I guess, some trauma he had to deal with. And the Lord was like, he's gonna restore this man. The Lord, whatever he takes, he gives back in abundance, multiplied over. So even the trauma that was given to him, where he lost his family, was restored. Because what ended up happening, there's a whole story, it's real juicy, check it out. But basically the brothers ended up needing food, and then they didn't recognize him because he had been so changed from who he was as a little boy, even with like the way they dressed in Egyptian garb and, you know, all type of stuff. And they asked him for food, like they talked to a whole nother stranger, and he was like, you know, played a little games with them. Long story short, they end up having to come back, and lo and behold, he made them have dinner with them and was like, actually, it is I. And he just ripped his little wig off, maybe wiped some eyeliner off, and they was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, that was like, but they really just fell to their knees, and instead of them like reacting in a way of like shame because of their like fear that he could just have them taken out, they were truly repentant. They were truly repentant, and they said that that situation had been eating them alive the whole time, like almost 50 years. This situation was eating them alive to the point where they couldn't, some of them couldn't even like go days without thinking about what they had done. So if Joseph had tried to get his little get back and send somebody to get them once he became on top, it still wouldn't have been as good because the reward was that much sweeter. Now he got a lot more. No, I ain't gonna lie, I would have forgiven them too if they had really repented. And yeah, Joseph was like, it's cool. Like, I'm just glad that, because he saw that they really was sorry for what they had done. And so he was like, it's cool, like, I'm glad that we had this moment. We was able to restore our family, restore this. And now when it was an old trauma, an old wound that had to happen to get him to where he was restored, and he got his family back. He got to go see his dad, you know, even in his old age. And it was just a beautiful renewal. And it's like, dang, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. So when I say sometimes I'll be like a little hesitant to ask the Lord for stuff, some stuff that I know might prompt a major change, I'm like, maybe I should wait till I'm a little bit more ready for that. Like, maybe I should wait till I can like, but you can't, the thing is, you can never be ready enough. Because if he's going to shift it, whatever you did to prepare, you feel like you were in a good place now to try to just get ready. Because he is God. He has his hand in everything. You can't never be ready enough to be, you know, ready for God. He likes you as you are. And so, yeah, I say all that to say, if you feel like you've been abandoned by God, or that he's not listening, or that after you pray, things just go wrong, that is not. We're seeing it with our human eyes. And there's Hebrews, is it 11:1 or 1:11? And it says, you know, basically having faith is knowing confidence in the things that we can't see. So just trusting in God, trusting in his plan, and trusting that he'll see you through, even when it's like you having that boys on the boat moment and stuff is looking real rocky, real dicey. Just have faith. Cry out to the Lord, have faith, and stay on the path. That's all I have to say for this video. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Bye.